Chapter 5, Morphology of Flowering Plants. The wide range in structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us, even though the angiosperms show such a large diversity in external structure or morphology. They are all characterized by presence of root, stem, leaf, flowers, and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3, we talked about classification of plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definition. We also need to know about the possible variation in different parts found as adaptations of plant to their environment. Example: adaptations to various habitat for production, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stem, and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. The root. In majority of the dicotyledonous plant, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary root and its branches constitute the taproot system as seen in the mustard plant. In monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short-lived as it is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system as seen in the wheat plant. In some plants like grasses, monstera, and the banyan tree, roots arise from the part of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious root. The main functions of the root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food materials, and synthesis of PGR, plant growth regulators. Region of the root. The root is covered by apex at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled, and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of the region of elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to region of elongation is called region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structures called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. The stem. What are the features that distinguish the stem from the root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portion between two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flower, and fruits. It conducts water, mineral, and photosynthesis. Some stem perform the function of storage of food, support, protection, and vegetative propagation. The leaf. The leaf is the lateral, generally flattened structure born on the stem. It develops at the node and bears bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develop into a branch. Leaves originate from the shoot apical meristem and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. The leaf base is attached to the stem by leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structures called stipules. In monocotyledonous, the leaf base expands into sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow blades to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf base is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf base and act as channel of transport for water, minerals, and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The arrangement of veins and winglets in the lamina of the leaf is termed as venation. When the winglets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. Leaves of dicotyledons plant generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is a characteristic of most of the monocotyledons. Types of leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when inside the incision do not touch the midrib. When the incisions of the lamina reach up the midrib, breaking it into number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of the petiole in both simple and compound leaf, but not the axil of the leaflets of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. In pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis, the rachis, when which represent the midrib of the leaf as in name. In palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached at a common point at the tip of the petiole as in silk cotton. Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite, and hold. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. In opposite type, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in Calotropis and Guava. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whole, it is called whole, as in Alstoin. The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot where in the shoot apical meristem changes into flower meristem, internodes do not elongate and axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kind of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence, depending on whether the apex gets developed into a flower or continues to grow. Two major type of inflorescence are defined: racemose and cymose. A in racemose type, the of inflorescence is the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne laterally in an acropital succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence it is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order. The flower is a reproductive unit in the angiosperm. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has four different kind of folds arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicle called thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When the flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only stamen or only carpel is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, radial symmetry, or zygomorphic, bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example: mustard, dhatura, chili. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric, irregular, if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4, or 5 respectively. Flowers with bracts reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicle are called bracted, or those without bracts are ebracted. Based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium in respect of the ovary of the thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. In hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flower is said to be superior. Example: mustard, china rose, and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior. Example: plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary, hence the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flower of guava and cucumber, and the rape florets of sunflower. Parts of flower. Each flower normally has four whole Calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx. The calyx is the outermost hole of the flower, and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green leaf-like, protect the flower in a bud state. The calyx may be gamosepalous, sepals united, or polysepalous, sepals free. Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may also be gamopetalous, petals united, polypetalous, petals free. The shape and color of the corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped, or wheel-shaped. Estivation: the mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in a floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whole is known as estivation. The main type of estivation are velvet, twisted, imbricate, and maxillary. When the sepals or petals in a flower just touch one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropis, it is said to be velvet. If one margin of the appendage overlaps that of the next one, and so on, as in China rose, ladyfinger, and cotton, it is called twisted. If the margins of the sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers, there are five petals. The largest in standard overlap the two lateral petals wings, which in turn overlap the two smallest anterior petal scale. This type of estivation is known as maxillary or papilionaceous. Androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or filament and the anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has two chambers. The pollen grains are produced in pollen sacs. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Stamens of flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous as in brinjal, or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth as in the flowers of lily. The stamens in a flower may either remain free, polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamen may be united into one bunch or one bundle, monoadelphous, as in China rose, or two bundles, diadelphous, as in pea, or more than two bundles, polyadelphous, as in citrus. There may be a variation in length of filament within a flower, as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of one or more carpel. A carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is more receptive surface for pollen grains. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free, as in lotus and rose, and are called apocarpus. They are termed syncarpus when the carpels are fused, as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seed and the ovary matures into a fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of the ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, and free central. In marginal placentation, the placenta form a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary, and the ovules are born on this ridge, forming two rows, as in P. When the is the axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato, and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or the peripheral part. Ovary is one chambered, but it becomes two chambered due to the formation of false septum. Example: mustard and argemone. When the ovules are born on the central axis and septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is called precentral. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower and marigold. The fruit is characteristic feature of all flowering plants. It is a mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or pericarp and seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When the pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruits are is known as a drupe. They develop from monocarpillary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp and a middle fleshy edible mesocarp and an inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, in which is also a drupe. The mesocarp is fibrous. The seed. The ovules after fertilization develop into seed. A seed is made up of a seed coat and embryo. The embryo is made up of radicle, an embryonal axis, and one, as in wheat, maize, or two cotyledons, as in gram and pea. Structure of dicotyledonous seed. The outermost covering of a seed is called the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo consisting of an embryonal axis and the two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserved food materials. At the two ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and the plumule. In some seeds, such as the castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue and called endospermic seeds. In plants such as bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seeds, and such seeds are called non-endospermous. Structure of monocotyledon seed. Generally, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchid, are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, the seed is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The sperm is bulky and store food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called the alluron layer. The embryo is small is and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledon known as a scutellum and a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in sheaths which are called coleoptile and coleorrhiza, respectively. Semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are used to describe the flowering plant. The description has to be brief, brief in a simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habitat, vegetative character, root, stem, leaf, and then floral character, inflorescence, and flower parts. After describing various parts of a plant, a floral diagram and a floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some of the symbol in the floral formula. B R stand for bracted, K stand for calyx, C stand for corolla, P for perianth, A for androecium, G for gynoecium, and G for superior ovary, and G for inferior ovary. And male, female, bisexual plants, actinomorphic and zygomorphic nature of the flower. Fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within bracket and addition by a line drawing above the symbol of the floral parts. A floral diagram provides the information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement, and the relation they have with one another. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, endosperm, and gynoecium are drawn in successive holes, calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being the in the center. Floral formula also shows cohesion and adhesion within the parts of hole and between holes. The floral diagram and floral formula represent the mustard plant family Brassicaceae. Solanaceae. It is large family commonly called the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropic, subtropic, and even temperate zone. Vegetative characters. Plants mostly herb, shrub, and rarely small trees. Stem herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, hairy or glabrous underground stem in potato. Solanum tuberosum. Leaves alternate, simple, rarely pinnately compound, exstipulate, venation, reticulate. Floral characters. Inflorescence solitary, axillary, or cymose, as in Solanum. Flower bisexual, actinomorphic. Calyx sepals 5 united, persistent, velvet estivation. Corolla petals 5 united, velvet estivation. Androecium stamens 5 epipetalous. Gynoecium bicarpillary, obliquely placed in carpus ovary superior. Bilocular placenta swollen with many ovules. Axile. Fruits, berry or capsule. Seeds, many and endospermous. Floral formula and economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family are source of food. Tomato, brinjal, potato, spice, chili, medicine, belladonna, ashwagandha, fumigatory, tobacco, ornamentals, petunia. Thank you.